So today we're going to be talking about the starting a podcast to showcase your expertise. The reason you want to start a podcast is showcase your expertise. It actually helps you people to learn who you are, to see how smart you are, to see what you're good at. So those are the great things about showing having the podcast to show your expertise. It helps you build your audience because you're on here, you're talking, you're interviewing people, you're getting to know people. Progress helps you get that global audience that you're built on. The cool part about it is it's so on so many different platforms. You have iTunes, you have Amazon, you have Spotify, you have Pandora. There's so many platforms that your podcast is automatically broadcast on to help you get those global reach and establish that you're an expert in your field. It helps you build your brand. Podcasts can help you establish your brand and make you authority of energy in your industry. It provides an opportunity for you to share your unique perspective and voice with your audience. So you can help stand out against your competition. How easy is it to create a podcast? A lot of people think that it's super hard, that you need all kinds of software and everything else. Realistically, 90% of the podcasts that I have, I do them on a Zoom. You get a microphone, you project them onto your Zoom, it records and it saves it as a voice. So if you have a phone, a computer with a decent microphone, and then if you want to throw the edits, most if on Microsoft computers or PC computers, they have a free software that allows you to video edit. I also like to use Fiverr and Canva to actually create video graphics for you to add as your intro. Engaging with your audience as a podcast can help you create a deeper connection with your audience as it's more personal form of communication. Listeners get to hear your voice, build your personality, and it builds credibility with who you are. And that is this awesome part about having the podcast. Then it is an awesome way to monetize. You can get advertisers on your podcast. You can you can have sponsorships, merchandise, and all other kind of things. Once you put your podcast on YouTube and you announce that you put your podcast on YouTube, YouTube will pay you. Now Instagram Reels is a way to monetize your podcast as well. It's because now it's on Instagram as well. And once you get a larger enough audience, you can now charge for advertisements just like a radio station would do. And guess what? You have creative control over whatever you want to talk about on your podcast. You can produce different topics, go in whatever direction you want to. So if you want to talk about business, you want to talk about money, you want to talk about relationships, you want to talk about credit, you have the opportunity to do that without being censored and people telling you what to talk about. You have an opportunity. This is a great way to network. Now that you have your podcast, you're building relationship with influencers, experts, and other podcasters. You can now, that is a leeway to get an interview with somebody, to collab with the guest appearance, so you can have opportunities to have them expose your brand. Imagine if you get somebody on your podcast that is fairly knowledgeable about the topic they want to talk. People like to share things that they're hearing other people talk about. So this is a great opportunity for you to grow your brand and to get it exposed to different people's audiences. Convenience means that your podcast can be listened to on smartphones, tablets, computers, radios. Now, if you have XM radio in your car and your podcast broadcasts to XM radio, Now people can listen to your podcast in any vehicle. So this gives people the opportunity to listen to what you're doing without having to watch you as they're working out or going along to their day-to-day activities. So they're not captivated to doing one thing at one time. Inexpensive. Again, you can start a podcast for as low as, I would say, as low as $50. And most of that would be your subscription to your Zoom and a microphone. And if you do video, then a video. But that would be all you have to do. You can find cheap microphones, the little portable ones now on Amazon for less than $10. And if you like to know any podcast equipment that you can use to start, you can actually start your podcast today for under $50. You really don't even need the Zoom subscription if you can keep your podcast down to less than 30 minutes, because that is the average time for people to listen to a podcast anyway, is 30 minutes. Naming your podcast helps you find your target audience. Podcasts can help you reach that target audience that's interested in your niche. So if you're talking about relationships, if you're talking about marketing, if you're talking about business and growing, this means you can connect with the people who are likely to be interested into your product or services, which gives you an opportunity to sell more. While you're doing your interviews on your podcast, guess what? You get to build deeper relationships with your audience, with people that you're interviewing. You get to actually have that conversation with the person that you may or may not have had this conversation. Tailor your podcast around getting to know who is on the screen with you. So if there's any questions and answers, you can please leave them down in the comments. You can send a chat to me. And every week on Wednesdays at 7 p.m., we have a networking and podcast, or networking and educational platform, where we network with you as well as we give you tidbits and marketing strategies to help your business go to the next level. This is I Am Unique Right, your business coach.